Yeah, so like it cut off. Um, what was I saying? London is basically one of them hubs where it's like everything's been prepared more or less for this thing to get locked down, and that's something you see in what is it, Children of Men, where they had like on the train stations, just cages full of people getting ready to get hemmed up. Hey, shit was on lock, and that's we're slowly, gradually approaching that phase, man. And that's people are resisting somewhat, but what that fear, that terror that Esau's inflicting on them, they're gonna be begging for it, man. So back in Jeremiah 51, um, okay, so verse 3: Against him that bendeth, let the archer bend his bow, and against him that lifteth himself up in his brigandine, and spare ye not her young men, destroy ye utterly all her host. Thus the slain shall fall in the land of the Chaldeans, and they that are thrust through in her streets. For Israel have not been forsaken, nor Judah of his power, of Yahweh of hosts, through their land, though their land was filled with sin against the Holy One of Israel. Yeah, that's the thing. It's really about Israel, and not even just Israel, really the elect, the Israel of the Most High, because those are the ones that through Yahweh Shai are going to become the first fruits of the kingdom, man. And what is it? It's not been forgotten, because that's the thing. It's because Esau, he's had his run for a little season. You go into Revelation 20, it says what? You got precept?
No, no.
Oh, you go into Revelation 20, it says what? It's been a little season for Esau to rule. That's what he's had, and he's had his run, and because he's increased in magnitude, the madness that he's been inflicting on the earth, and there's been no repercussion. He's really thinking that it's just gonna run like that forever. He's thinking the Most High is behind him, but we don't realize these things are hey, it's gonna come, it's gonna bite you in the ass, man. It says what flee out of the midst of Babylon, and deliver every man his soul, and be not cut off in her iniquity. For this is the time of Yahweh's vengeance. He will render unto her a recompense. Yeah, and that's what we're dealing with. It's the time of judgment. It's a recompense. It's a payment back for what Esau's done. The crimes Esau's been has committed and has stayed committing to this day. Fucking to this day. Babylon have been a golden cup in Yahweh's hand, that made all the earth drunken. The nations have drunken of her wine, therefore the nations are mad. Yeah, the nations are mad. Saw an article earlier today that said the birth rates this year in the US, I think in the US, I believe just the US, had hit an all-time low, like even below where it was low before. And it's funny because I'm not surprised, man. Everything is this whole place is in decline, and really as well, Esau's been the one that's been withering away, man. But anyway, it's part of the entire decline. The whole system that Esau's taken on, this Babylonian system, it results in everything completely going backwards, man. Like the women's liberation has then resulted in what, the destruction of the nuclear family, which is that core unit of which you build a society upon. The man, the woman, and raising his the man having his woman, and then building his house. That's like the core of how you build a society. So for Esau to throw that out the window and just be like, okay, you can be a single mom and the state's gonna lavish you with money, then you've gone completely against the scriptures. And then that's the result, the knock on effect of these things is felt down the line, man. Everyone was thinking like, oh yeah, it's so great, blah blah blah. But then, okay, what's the result? Nothing but death, destruction, confusion. That's where we're at, witnessing it. The nation of Babylon is suddenly fallen and destroyed. How for her take balm for her pain, if so be she may be healed. Yeah, so Babylon suddenly fallen and destroyed. Find some manner or method by which to save Babylon. It can't be done. Because as far as for the judgment against this new Babylon, this daughter of Babylon, this present Babylon we're in, is the judgment's gone out. The word of Yahweh Hashem Yahushai has gone out. As such, it can't go out void. It needs to fulfill what's been said. So Esau's gonna have the mark's gonna go out. He's gonna have his little new world order start to come together. He's gonna have World War III popping off, certain things, but before it's complete, it's all gonna be dissolved, and Yahushua is gonna make his return, as he left, with clouds, man, with those chariots, what Esau's calling the UFOs, which have now all of a sudden just been acknowledged. All of a sudden, Esau has acknowledged, oh yeah, there was UFOs all this time, and we were tracking them, blah blah blah. Okay, so all of a sudden it wasn't just a bunch of Looney Tunes talking about that. Because why? It's building that mindset and narrative. Verse 9. We would have healed Babylon, but she is not healed. Forsake her, and let us go every one into his own country. For her judgment reacheth unto heaven, and is lifted up even to the skies. Yeah, we would have healed Babylon, but she can't be healed. And the judgment lifts up to the skies. That's the thing as well, is once Babylon's judged, these nations, they're going to be, lamenting for the loss of, all that monetary wealth, that lifestyle, all these goodies that, they receive from the US, or from having the US as a trade partner. But then what? What are they going to do? They're going to, thingy, man. They're gonna lament, but then they're gonna be in slavery, man. So it's gonna be a wrap. Because anyway, it says they're gonna hate the whore and burn it with fire. So they're gonna be going against it, against America. The Lord's gonna put the spirit on them, regardless, to shoot them missiles on America. But then afterwards, they're gonna be crying because of what they're perceiving they've lost. But then afterwards, it's the kingdom of heaven anyway. So that's going to be a whole different set and order of things. You got anything?
No.
Okay, let me oh, cool. I'll switch gears anyhow. So Luke. Okay, yeah. Luke 22 and 39. And then he came out, wait. Yeah, 39. And he came out and went as he was wont to the Mount of Olives, and his disciples also followed him. And when he was at the palace, when he was at the place, he said unto them, Pray that ye enter not into temptation. And he was withdrawn from them about a stone's cast, and kneeled down and prayed, saying, Father, if thou be willing, remove this cup from me. Nevertheless, not my will, but thine be done. Yeah, so when Yahushua was in the garden, essentially having to prepare himself for what he'd have to do going up on the cross, Um, yeah, that's why you pray to the Father, saying, "What if thou if thou will thou be willing, remove this cup." Because why? It's yeah, it was terrible. But then, what was the chief thing? It was the will of Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. Because that's the thing as well. Is with as far as like being a man on the earth, it's certain amount of hardship. That's just life. But then, hey, it's men ain't really just willing to well, let's say eager to go into some wild form of torture or destruction, man. So that's why it's like what it's about, the spirit, about what Yahweh Hashem Yahushua desires to go down, because that's really what it comes down to. It comes down to the will of Yahweh Hashem Yahushua, and that's where it links up with Romans 12 before. It said what? Prepare your body as a living sacrifice. Present it, because that's really what it comes down to. When you go into the Book of Acts, you got various acts, of violence that were done against, the apostles. You had like Stephen get stoned. You had Paul get stoned as well, and and then was restored after. Like James had his head cut off. Peter was crucified as well, upside down. Like these things were terrors that were visited upon the apostles. But that's how the Lord had it set, and is now again, the present time we're in, is another playthrough of those those events, where it's now the time of the Acts, because like from the apostles on down, you got the men of the Lord basically out preaching His word inside a kingdom, the rulership that's been condemned, and as such that makes the Lord's men enemies of this place, where and it's Esau again, that son of perdition that was it wasn't known who he was before. Now we know the nature of who we're dealing with, which is why we know what this guy's gonna come with extreme prejudice to do as much harm as possible against brothers, including putting them to death, torturing them, various other things. That's who we're dealing with. So that's why it's like, yo, when it just, and it says as they do, I'm forgetting the word, but it's like as with a master, so as they dealt with a master, so they deal with the servants.
As is the master, so is the servant, basically.
Yeah. So it's like as they came against Yahweh Shai, they'll lied on Yahweh Shai, and had him go through that gruesome way of being put to death. Same thing that's to be expected for his men. We're gonna then have to go through hardship, and some are gonna be put to death. You go in Revelation, it says what? It says those that were beheaded for the witness of Yahusha. Because why? It's like you go into Acts, it says, was it Acts 5, I believe, where it says, don't teach in that name. That was the main thing. Coming in the name of Yahweh Shai, that was the main issue. So, you go, son? Or are we done?
No.
And verse 43, it says, and there appeared an angel unto him from heaven, strengthening him, and being in agony, he prayed more earnestly. Yeah, so the Lord sent an angel to strengthen him. So it's like, hey, that's the thing as well, is even with what we might have to endure, the Lord's given us what? First of all, the comfort of the scriptures, but then also the brotherhood as well. So it's basically got things that were given to make it us able to endure, and really it's that spirit the Lord puts on these men. Because just as like with Stephen, you read the defense of Stephen, where he went in. Went into the point these men were gnashing their teeth on him, man. These men were just looking to just bring a legendary form of destruction on him because they were that cut. And that's what's again what's going to go down. It says you speak before kings and rulers, and the Lord's going to think not what to say because He'll put His words in your mouth. So that's going to go down as well. And these are the things. These are the things that we're in a time of, and it's what Yahushua endured. That's what we need to be prepared to endure. So it says, and being in an agony, he prayed more earnestly, and his sweat was, as it were, drops of blood falling down to the ground. Yeah, so Yahushua was sweating blood in anticipation of what was getting ready to go down. So then that as well is even why, like, for you to come into the truth, and then basically just and turn your back on the cloud, and then try to come back. It says what? You're just like, you're putting your Yahushua's out as an open shame, man. You're basically saying, oh, well, you went and bore my sins once, just go do it again. But this is something that Yahushua was sweating blood in anticipation of. So he's not gonna go and crucify himself again, just so some rockhead, some brickhead can get. But then that's why it's spiritual to understand what the significance of receiving that covering, man, that covering of grace is. And how the state that Jake's is if you ain't got that covering, it's a wrap. Because by and large, the vast majority of guys who know they're Israelites out here, they were in the world, man, doing all forms of wickedness. And from where you've done that, according to the line of the law, it's a wrap. Like there's no there's nothing that can be done as far as there's no way for you to evade or get out of that, man. You break one, you've broken them all. And you weren't keeping Sabbaths, because anyway, even if you were you grew up and they were keeping the Friday sundown, Saturday sundown, that it goes by the new moon, so it's a wrap. So that says what? Okay, verse 45. And when he rose up from prayer and was come to his disciples, he found them sleeping for sorrow, and said unto them, why sleep ye? Rise and pray, lest ye enter into temptation. And while he yet spake, behold, a multitude, and he that was called Judas, one of the 12, went before them and drew near unto Yahushua to kiss him. But Yahushua said unto him, Judas, betrayest thou the Son of Man with a kiss? When they which were about him so would follow, they said unto him, Lord, shall we smite with the sword? And yeah, you go into John. It will tell you it's actually. Okay, yeah. Shall we smite with the sword? And one of them smote the servant of the high priest and cut off his right ear. And you go into John, and it breaks down. It was Peter. It was what Malchus's ear that got cut off. But and Yahushua answered and said, suffer ye thus far, and he touched his ear and healed him. And Yahushua said unto the chief priests and captains of the temple and elders, which are come to him, Be ye come out as against a thief with swords and staves. When I was daily with you in the temple, ye stretched forth no hands against me. But this is your hour and the power of darkness. Yeah. So that's like
Yeah, that was the time that they were gonna be. Basically, if you read, I did a video on it recently, the commentary video on John the 11th chapter, and our Lord basically spoke about, the disciples said unto him, like, look, you want to go back down to Jerusalem dealing with Lazarus when he died? And he said, yeah. He said, don't they sought to kill you? He said, basically said, like, he basically said that he walks in the daylight. Again, walk in the light. Just quickly. It's the book of John 10. John 10 and I'll start from John 11 and 7. Then after he that saith he to his disciple, let's go into Judea again. His disciples say unto him, Yahweh, Master, the Jews of late sought to stone thee, and goest thou thither again? Yahushua answered, Are there not 12 hours in the day? If any man walk in the day, he stumbleth not, because he seeth the light of this world. For if a man walk in the night, he stumbleth, because there is no light in him. And that's basically what Yahushua was alluding to when they basically did that they was going to do. So there's a time of darkness. And that's even why, true to the letter, around according to the power of Yahushua's words, when he got put up on the crucifix, what happened? Darkness fell upon them at that time, right before the time of darkness, because it was a dark time, right? And it was because it was they had the power in their hand to do the things they were going to do. And when you read more in that chapter as well, it speaks about how they sought to kill Yah. They were searching for a way to get Yahushua, and they finally found their way. They found their means of grasping him, and basically, having the power over them.
Okay. So what was I'm gonna skip down. Luke 22. So let's get down to verse 66. And as soon as it was day, the elders of the people and the chief priests and the scribes came together and led him into the council, saying, Art thou the anointed? Tell us. And he said unto them, If I tell you, ye will not believe. And if I also ask you, ye will not answer me, nor let me go. Hereafter shall the Son of Man sit on the right hand of the power of the Most High. Then said they all, Art thou then the Son of the Most High? And he said unto them, Ye say that I am. And they said, What need we any further witness? For we ourselves have heard on of his own mouth. See, they were just looking for any means by which to come against Yahushua, and basically, have him put to death. But that was, through the Spirit. I believe it's in John where it says, like Caiaphas says, like it was needful that one should die for the whole nation.
That was in John 11, yeah.
So it was through the Spirit. But then what? It's regardless. That doesn't mean that these men can get off scot free. they're going to receive their judgment. And that's why, as well, in this present time, in the with the Old Testament, Old Covenant, was what, all Israel that got saved out of Egypt in the Passover. But then what, this present time, it's not going to be everyone. It's only going to be the elect. Because why? It's same wicked bastards are going to have to be roasted alive. Because, what is it? I think, well, no, it's second Ezra, so the same will not by death by pain. Because that's why it's certain men need to receive that death by pain. Just like these wicked bastards that put Yahushua to death. And that's why it's like now, when Yahushua makes his return, he's going to come in a form to execute judgment, man. He said, what? I will not meet you as a man. I will not meet you as a man. And it says what? In Revelation, every eye shall see him, including those who pierced him. So, reincarnation, that means all those who need to receive their judgment are gonna be, they're gonna be brought back, and then what? They're gonna get toasted, man. Those that pierced him, hey, Yahushua, what's he coming to do? He's coming to gather them crowns for himself, take all the dominions, and judge the those that have come against him. Okay. Let me jump to Daniel. So another example. So okay, let me start. Daniel 3. Okay, yeah. Daniel 3 and 4. It says, Then an herald cried aloud, To you it is commanded, O people, nations, and languages, though what time ye hear the sound of the cornet, flute, harp, sackbut, psaltery, dulcimer, and all kinds of music, ye fall down and worship the golden image that Nebuchadnezzar the king hath set up. And whoso falleth not down and worshippeth shall the same hour be cast into the midst of a burning fiery furnace. Therefore at that time, when all the people heard the sound of the cornet, flute, harp, sackbut, psaltery, and all kinds of music, all the people, the nations, and the languages fell down and worshipped the golden image that Nebuchadnezzar the king had set up. Wherefore at that time, that shows how simple this guy was being, because he took like the golden head, like literal gold, and it's but then he was made the mistake of taking all the glory onto himself, and not honoring Yahweh Hashem Yahushua. Because resulted in getting judgment, and really in Babylon going down. So, verse 8, Wherefore at that time certain Chaldeans came near and accused the Jews. They spake and said to the king Nebuchadnezzar, O king, live forever. Thou, O king, hast made a decree that every man that shall hear the sound of the cornet, flute, harp, sackbut, psaltery, and dulcimer, and all kinds of music, shall fall down and worship the golden image. And whoso falleth not down and worshipeth, that he should be cast into the midst of a burning fiery furnace. These are certain Jews whom thou hast set over the affairs of the province of Babylon, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. These men, O king, have not regarded thee. They serve not thy powers, nor worship the golden image which thou hast set up. Then Nebuchadnezzar, in his rage and fury, commanded to bring Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Then they should be brought. Then they brought these men before the king. Nebuchadnezzar spoke and said unto them, Is it true, O Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego? Do not ye serve my powers, my gods, nor worship the golden image which I have set up? Now if ye be ready, that at what time ye hear the sound of the cornet, flute, harp, sackbut, psaltery, and dulcimer, and all kinds of music, ye fall down and worship the image which I have made well. But if ye worship not, ye shall be cast the same hour into the midst of a burning fiery furnace. And who is that power that shall deliver you out of my hands? Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego answered and said to the king, O Nebuchadnezzar, we are not careful to answer thee in this matter. If it be so, our power whom we serve is able to deliver us from the burning fiery furnace, and he will deliver us out of thine hand, O king. But if not, be it known unto thee, O king, that we will not serve thy powers, nor worship the golden image which thou set up. Yeah, so, Nebuchadnezzar was basically making everyone within Babylon bow down to and worship his image, whenever the music played. But that's, go to Exodus. It says what? You will not have any other gods before Yahweh Hashem Yahushua. So then and it mentions about making an image and bowing down to it as well. That's something that's within the laws, and these are things that men of integrity and honor have abided in. Because you can go to Ezekiel 8, I believe, towards the end of the chapter when it goes into the those in Israel, the old ass men that were worshiping idols, in their dark places, man, in their cupboards where no one could see. So you've had men of integrity, and you've had those that basically just folded. And now is that time of judgment where the rewards are being doled out. Those men that have endured and abided in this word, they're going to receive the reward. But then what? The men